Welcome to Exhausted Reviews. My name is EddieX, and this is my video series where I drive, experience, and review enthusiast cars. And today we have two Lotus Emiras. If you're shopping for a light and nimble driver-focused sports car, you actually don't have a ton of options today, and I think the Lotus Emira is one of the best options. Lotus has been evolving as a brand, and their current lineup is very interesting because they have the Elettra, the Emea, which are these electric hyper SUV, hyper sedan options. They have the Avaya, which is their hypercar, all EV, but they still have the Lotus Emira, which is an evolution of the Evora, that traditional Lotus sports car that you're going to think of. Mid-engine, gas, internal combustion only, rear-wheel drive. Now, the Emira comes in many different flavors, which is also very interesting. I'm very lucky that I've been able to spend time with all the different powertrain combinations, and I think these two are my favorite. This one has the Supercharged V6 paired with a 6-speed manual transmission. It's also available with a 6-speed torque converter automatic. This one is the Mercedes AMG sourced 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. Now, this one is only available with an 8-speed dual clutch. And when you look at the hierarchy of the Emira, it's very interesting because technically this 2-liter is the entry-level model. They're both first editions here, but the V6 one costs more. It sits higher up in the lineup. But then you start looking at the power output. 400 horsepower, 400 horsepower. 310 pound-feet of torque, 354 pound-feet of torque. So the entry-level AMG 2-liter makes the same power, slightly more torque. 8-speed dual clutch, launch control. This one's actually quicker 0 to 60. So you're kind of in between the two of them. They're very different flavors of the Emira experience because you can't get this with a manual. This one is available with a manual. This one's a little bit less expensive, but is actually a little bit quicker. Which one would you go for? Well, today we're going to take them both for a drive back to back and discuss. Before we go for a drive, let's take a quick tour of the two Emiras. On the right, we have a white Supercharged V6 manual first edition owned by my friend Elliot. And then on the left, this is a Magma Red 2-liter AMG powered, also first edition. Now, when it comes to the looks, the styling, there's no immediately obvious ways to tell what engine is in which Emira. They don't change the intakes, the styling, there's no special badging or anything, right? So it really comes down to how you spec the car. This white one here has the diamond cut wheels, the yellow brake calipers, and it's painted all white. Whereas the Magma Red car has the black pack for the roof, the mirrors. We have the blacked out wheels, also with yellow calipers. But if you look at the side styling, the intakes, everything, they look the same. We have the Emira First Edition badge there on the side, and they both just say First Edition. It's not First Edition V6 or First Edition 4-cylinder. The only way to tell is by looking under the rear glass. So on the V6, you have a bit more that you can see. With the top of the supercharger cover, it says Lotus V6, and you can just see a little bit more of what's going on there. Whereas on the 4-cylinder AMG one, the cover is quite a bit more covering, right? You can't really see anything underneath there. You do have that 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but here just Lotus badge, and that plastic cover hides everything. So that's really the only way you can tell by looking at the vehicles. The rear is the same. We have the dual exhaust, same styling. This one's got the blacked out badging. The Magma Red paint does look pretty nice. And then over here, you'll see it's got the silver badging. Go ahead and close this. The trunk is the same. And we do have an aftermarket exhaust on this white one, so I'm excited to hear that and see how it sounds. But again, you see visually, unless you're looking under that rear glass, if a Lotus Emira goes by you on the freeway, you're not necessarily going to be able to tell immediately what engine is in it from a visual standpoint. Now, when it comes to driving, though, there is definitely a very different personality between the two cars. So let's go take these for a spin and see how they compare. we start off in the V6 Supercharged manual Emira. And this one has an aftermarket exhaust on it. With the valves open, it definitely wakes up. And after driving the Turbo 4 dual clutch all week, this is a quite different personality. Now, I have spent time with the V6 manual and the V6 automatic out in Southern California, enjoying the Emira on those amazing canyon roads around Malibu. And the V6 manual was always my choice. I was like, if I was ordering one of these things, I would absolutely get it with the Supercharged V6 and the 6-speed manual transmission. It's not the absolute best manual transmission in the world in terms of shifter feel. Porsche still wins. Honestly, even like Honda with a Civic Type R feels a little bit more precise. But it's the fact that you can get this with the 6-speed manual, and there's a rareness to that. I was thinking, actually, how many mid-engined manual transmission rear-wheel drive sports cars are still available? There's this, the Cayman, but the Cayman's ending. Internal combustion Cayman is essentially done. So you have the Emira, and what else? I couldn't think of anything else in the realm of normal sports cars for sure. Even, I mean, supercars, R8 Ferrari, like Lamborghinis, they don't make them with a manual transmission anymore. So that makes this a little bit special. And it's actually really fun when you get it with the 6-speed manual, because you have the exposed linkage below, and at night it lights up, which is a fun touch. The Supercharged V6 also delivers power and makes noises in a completely different way compared to the Turbo 4. I feel like you can actually feel the increase in torque. This is 310 pound-feet. The AMG 4-cylinder is 354. And while on paper that might not sound like a lot, percentage-wise it is noticeable, and it feels very boosty when you're in the Turbo 4. And then obviously dual clutch versus the 6-speed manual. You have 3 pedals here, actually a decently weighty clutch. Driving dynamics wise, both of the cars we're comparing today are the Touring, which means you have the slightly softer suspension setup and you have the regular summer tires, not the Cup 2s. Ooh, I have a little bit of an overpass. Whoa, that's actually pretty loud. Wow, I'm impressed. It's fascinating to me that in terms of the hierarchy, the 2-liter is lower down, it's the entry-level model, it costs less, but it's more capable in many, many ways. In a straight line, obviously, a dual clutch making similar power torque numbers is going to be quicker than a 6-speed manual transmission. The computers just shift faster than humans these days. That's just how it works. But I've also had feedback even on track, because of the way the 2-liters position, the weight, and the positioning in the chassis itself, you have more confidence in the 2-liter, and it's faster. But then we balance the fact that when you're buying a car like this, what are you trying to get? Well, driving fun and enjoyment has to be very, very high up on the list, right? Otherwise, we'd just be in little commuter cars. And this car is about the emotion of driving fun. And honestly, if you're going for the Lotus, that is a huge selling point for you. Otherwise, you might end up in a Porsche Cayman. Objectively speaking, Porsches are so precise. They're so good. And for this kind of money, you're talking about a Cayman GTS with a 4-liter. A 4-liter flat 6 from Porsche is a special, special thing. That being said, this thing still delivers plenty of fun. And I feel like some of the flaws are what give it personality. It just feels a little more unique and fun and joyful. And just, it's like character in a sports car means it has some imperfections. If it was all just super clinical and perfect, you don't fall in love with it. Drive modes on a car like this, especially with an aftermarket exhaust, you're not changing. It's really just stability, right? The powertrain stuff, but you're only varying powertrain, exhaust, and your stability setup. So in track performance, yeah, you have the visual change right there, but it's not like you're changing steering feel. It's just simple hydraulic steering. It's not variable weight or whatever. We have fixed dampers, right? It's not adjustable dampers, so you're not changing between various firmness and things like that. It doesn't have magnetic ride. This is still a relatively bare bones, just dedicated driver's car. It's simple. It's very, very simple. And there's a refreshing feel to that. Some of these new cars you get in, and it's like, there are 8 million different things and parameters for you to change. Polar opposite end of the spectrum. But I was talking with a friend who just picked up a BMW M5 Touring. And the Touring, or any M5, the new generation, has like something like close to 2,000 different permutations of your drive mode. You can change your brake feel, your exhaust, your xDrive all-wheel drive system, your stability. Like, there's so many different settings, and it works out to nearly 2,000 different combinations that you can set up your M1, M2 buttons. That's overwhelming. That's too much. This one, I mean, even changing your drive modes doesn't make a huge difference. It's just the way it comes. Sport, Touring, which engine combination, have fun, drive. And it's refreshing. It's refreshing. All right, let's hop in the car with the owner, Elliot, and get some of his thoughts on what it's been like to own this Emira and why he chose the Supercharged V6 one. All right, now we're in the car with Elliot. You own this Supercharged first edition Emira. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a slight departure from the NSX, right? Because that was your most recent car.
It was quite different.
What made you get this?
So the biggest thing for this one is it felt like the closest spiritual successor to the NSX I could get today. One of the few cars you can buy brand new is a 6-speed manual. And then just a lot of the creature comforts and amenities with a 35-year-old newer car.
Like CarPlay and air conditioning and things
Absolutely.
like that, right? Anything else draw you to this? Like, why the Emira?
So I've been a big fan of Lotus for a while. My dad actually owned a Lotus Elise back in 05 when they were still pretty new. So familiar with the brand and the car. I've always thought they were super cool and unique, and it doesn't have, the Lotus brand doesn't have as much of like the Porsche, Ferrari kind of owner stigma that comes along with it. So I like that.
Did you think about the 2-liter? Because that's the whole point of this video, comparing the two.
I did.
What are your thoughts? Let's get into it.
I did.
Supercharged V6 versus 2-liter.
So after driving the 2-liter, I'm actually really impressed with it. I thought it was going to be more underwhelming because you lost the manual aspect of it. But actually, I really like the way it drove. I like the way that the car pulls. It feels similar to a lot of the P cars with like just super linear power delivery. All of that being said, I still think I'm picking the manual every time.
So you're still happy with your choice?
Absolutely, yeah. Just having that engagement,
yeah,
you can't beat it.
I'm struggling. So refresher driving your car here with the manual. There's such different personalities. I really like the 2-liter in that car. The boost, the noises. Like, did you like the blow-off valve noises?
The blow-off valve is crazy. Yeah.
I didn't expect that at a factory car.
No.
But you've got supercharger wide.
Supercharger wine is cool. It's also my first supercharged car. So
really?
An experience.
Okay, okay. So you're still happy with your choice? Absolutely.
I'm happy from the 4-cylinder to the 6. I think I would take the 6 every time.
So here's the big question. If they offered the AMG 2-liter with a manual, now what do you do?
They might win me over on that. I'd have to drive it and see how it feels as a manual, but I'd have to imagine it would feel great. So. Yeah, like imagine this little thing with that powertrain. That's what I've been struggling with this entire time. Since I got back in your car, since I've been spending a week with the 2-liter, I'm like, I'm glad they didn't do it because it makes our decision even more difficult. It does, it does.
Yeah, I like that 2-liter for sure in this platform. All right, thank you so much for bringing the cars out. I'm glad to get your feedback. So you're still happy with Supercharged V6 manual.
That's the verdict. I'm picking it every time.
But if the AMG was offered with a manual,
we'll revisit it then.
Revisit it then, if that ever does happen. All right, now I'm gonna go hop in the 2-liter and share some thoughts on that one. All right, now we're in the 2-liter AMG powered Emira. Little quirk of the dual clutches. You have to push up twice for reverse, go back twice for drive. Only once puts you into neutral, so requires 2 inputs on this little lever. Away we go. So this is the car that I've been driving the last week. I have spent time with one out in Southern California, just a brief couple of days, but this one I've been living with for the past week. So definitely feels the most familiar at the moment, but have also driven the Supercharged V6 one extensively. Spent a week with one of those out in California. I'm gonna go ahead and toggle right into track mode, over to the left, so we're locked in the manual. The noises that this 2-liter AMG makes are pretty ridiculous. So right over your left shoulder, that intake, that's where you hear all the boost noises, and it's a shocking amount of boost noises. It's all the fun noises. It's the whooshing, the building of boost, air moving around, blow-off valve noises. Like, it's properly fun, even with the windows up. Let me put the windows down real quick. Do you hear that? The fluttering of the blow-off valve. And that's just like normal around town driving. It's got the pops and bangs, the burbles, the boost noises. So this powertrain makes all the fun turbocharged sounds that you would want out of a fun little sports car. Honestly, there are times where I'm like, this feels aftermarket. Like, usually OEM cars are much more subdued and conservative, but they took it to the max with the noises that this thing makes, and that adds the fun factor. Now, the dual clutch transmission. I have taken to driving this thing pretty much in track mode exclusively with the paddle shifters in full manual. I think that's the weak point, the transmission tuning on this DCT. That's what I discovered when I spent some time with the one in California. There were some times I'd have rough shifts around town in traffic. It would get really lurchy, and you really want to be in charge of it. So the trans tuning needs some work. The good news is they can update that, and I think they are going to release an update to the transmission software, and it needs it for sure, because a dual clutch should be just flawless. And I don't know if it was maybe the Mercedes AMG handover to Lotus, where maybe they didn't have enough access to tune various parameters of the transmission, but the way I've been describing, when people ask me how is the AMG Lotus, I go, fantastic engine, trans tuning is the letdown. The transmission just needs a little bit of work, in my opinion. But when you're on it, you're having fun, you're pushing it hard with the paddle shifters. It's plenty quick to shift. There is a little bit of delay I notice with the paddles at times, and I do really hate this double toggle for the transmission selector. It makes doing like a quick 3-point turn or quickly going from reverse to drive rather challenging, and to be deliberate, sometimes a little bit of lag there. So I don't like that part of it, but everything else about it is fun. Launch control is very enjoyable. Let's see if we can find some space to do a bit of launch control. I really do think this engine fits the Lotus personality very, very well. It's very interesting that it pairs up against the Supercharged V6. Perfect. We're the first ones at the light, so we're going to go into automatic, and we will do launch control when we leave. It's super simple. I'm in track mode right now. You just floor to brake, floor to gas, and let go, and you go. No fancy toggling of various things. It's still a very simple vehicle experience. Launch. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. It's fun. This is fun. I have grown to really, really like this powertrain, and I think my final takeaway after driving the Supercharged V6 and the AMG powered 2-liter is, if this was available with a manual, I think I'd go for this one. And even with this dual clutch versus the the 6-speed manual Supercharged one, I'm starting to have doubts. I'm starting to have second thoughts, and I expected to just stay strong with, yes, the Supercharged V6 is better with the manual. Just get that one. But I really, really like the 2-liter turbo 4 in this car. Add on the feedback I got from Nathan over at Auto Europe. He's taken all the various Emiras to the track. They've got a Emira GT4 race car too, and he really likes the 2-liter. I really think the only weak spot is the transmission tuning, so I'd love to try out one of these if they do an update, a flash to recalibrate the transmission a little bit, just to make it a little bit snappier possibly, and definitely at lower speeds traffic. If you're going from second gear to first gear, slowing down, I've noticed a little bit of jerking, bucking at times. That just shouldn't be something you experience in a dual clutch transmission. Like, it should just be flawlessly good. Let you downshift almost to redline too. Guys, I think I might be going for this over the Supercharged V6 manual. It feels blasphemous to say a dual clutch, smaller engine, 4-cylinder versus like picking this over the Supercharged V6, but this is actually really, really good. It's also very interesting how the interior is essentially the same, exterior is essentially the same. Unless you look under the rear engine cover, you can't tell if it's a V6 or a 4-cylinder. It's not like there's a bunch of badging, the intakes are the same, it's not a bunch of styling changes. So you're really just picking your experience. You're not losing out from a visual standpoint or an interior standpoint if you go for the 4-cylinder versus the V6. And it's just down to powertrain combination, what experience you want. I still love the Emira in all the different forms. I guess I'm ultimately still a little bit happy that they don't offer this with a manual, because that would just make our lives even more difficult trying to pick. Well, that guy's very patriotic. Alright, enough shenanigans. Comment below, which powertrain combination would you go with? You're spending your money, you're buying a Lotus Emira. Are you going V6 manual or dual clutch 2-liter AMG? Comment below. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoy spending time with an Emira in any flavor. But I think my takeaway is this one. We got lots of people taking photos and videos. Told you guys, this car is definitely popular. It turns heads for sure. Gotten quite a lot of attention while out and about with this thing. Man, he's got like 4 cameras up. I'll go with launch control. How about that? Launch control with traction stability fully off. Let's see if we can spin the rear tires a little bit. Nope, it just gripped and went. Probably heated up the rear tires enough with shenanigans. I hope you guys enjoyed this comparison video between the two Lotuses, Loti, what's the plural form of Lotus? Lotus Emiras. We'll go with that. Thanks for watching.